to back, and spin it on it back to back, on the turntables back to back, and spin it on it back to back, on it back.
Upon hearing about Sonic Superstars' announcement, I felt a little mixed. On one hand, I'm always excited to see whatever new game comes out of my favorite franchise. But on the other hand, I have been immensely burned by disappointment after disappointment since Sonic Lost World back in 2013. Of course, we've had our outliers, like 2017's Sonic Mania, but then that was immediately followed up by the narrow hallway nothing burger of disappointment that was Sonic Forces. Sonic Frontiers came out a year ago, which was originally supposed to be this week's Danologues episode, but I couldn't force myself to play through it any longer. My initial idea was to have an episode that correlated with the DLC and give my thoughts after beating it, but unfortunately, I've been left disappointed once again. And I didn't even pay for that shit, it was completely free, but I feel like it was such a waste of not only my time, but of the developer's time as well. To give the spark notes of the game, of the DLC, and my own thoughts, I think Sonic Frontiers is a very bold but exciting taste of what the future of Sonic has in store for us. Unfortunately, it's a game that is riddled with tonal issues, narrative whiplash, unnecessary padding, the worst boost formula gameplay ever, disgusting pop-in that would make Pokemon laugh, and by far the most disappointing ending boss battle to a Sonic game yet. I have a lot of good to say about the game though. I beat it and sunk hours into it, and I did have fun. But for me to say Sonic is back to a game that wasn't worth the money I paid, and definitely does not bring Sonic Team back into the limelight as a AAA developer, I just can't. I just felt very mixed on it. It was hard to say all my words and get across a lot of the feelings that I had for it, because the highs were very high, but the lows were also really low. Things like running around in an open environment, feeling like what I've always imagined it to be like being Sonic, was a marvel. Contrast that with unimaginative set pieces, asset reuse from over decades old games, with a physics engine that was inconsistent. It just made it really hard to put this game on a level like Sonic Generations, Sonic Adventure 2, or Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Or of course, Sonic Mania. It should be noted though that this game has been a breathing and growing one, with DLC patches scattered throughout the year, with new collectibles in the forms of music, and challenges that reward you with a spin dash, and utilize the player's ability to combo Sonic's abilities like Psyloop and attacks. This, and the promise of the final DLC that would bring story content and new playable characters, admittedly had me quite excited and intrigued. Would they fix the disappointing final boss? Would they fix some of the in-engine problems that held the game back from being outstanding? Well, kind of in the spirit of Frontiers itself, it's all over the place. The truth is, I couldn't force myself to play through the DLC. It starts you off playing as each of the new characters, getting to certain destinations, but for some reason you've lost all of your map data. This, in a way, gives you a reason to re-explore, but I just found it very annoying because I already worked my ass off to get all the map points. It's not a new map, I had already unlocked it and explored it. Why do I have to re-evaluate myself with this area? It was just weird. On top of that, the extra characters being Tails, Amy, and Knuckles play fine enough, but unfortunately Knuckles plays buggy and clunky in comparison to his Sonic Adventure and Adventure 2 counterpart that is fluid and snappy, of course. After playing a segment with each of the characters, you're back into control of Sonic. It felt weird and out of touch that you couldn't just swap between each character. You basically had to get a little taste test and then re-unlock them. This isn't a Metroidvania. It wasn't satisfying, it was annoying, and you have to climb these towers in order to get to a challenge. Thus, you repeat this until what I assume is the final boss, again. The truth is, I did not make it to the end. I didn't even make it past one tower. Immediately, I felt my patience dwindling as I forced myself to stop running around and doing random shit and trying to unlock maps again, to instead climb up these towers and do the main content. The towers are a chore to climb though, not because they are inherently badly designed, but rather because it just feels really punishing on some old Bennett Foddy only up type shit, and I just didn't think it was necessary or fun. So when you get up to this tower, there's a Coco. You talk to him and there's a challenge, and to me, that's where it lost me. I think for the challenge that was climbing the tower, there needed to be a reward, something that made me want to do it again, something that made my time feel valued. I did the hard challenge, and I was rewarded with bullshit? I can't speak for any of the other towers, but immediately getting bombarded and gangbanged by a bunch of whatever the fucks is not what I consider fun. In a week, I think this definitely would have been easy to do. Obviously, a lot of people have already played it and beaten it in a couple of days, but it's unrealistic for me as I'm a full-time working adult, and we just recently held my 3-year anniversary streamathon on my Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/DannoTheArtist. That went on for 5 days, and I barely had time to play anything that didn't involve viewers. Not complaining, it just is what it is. So once I banged my head against the wall for 20 minutes versus this horde of enemies that wouldn't stop bombarding me, I just realized my time could be used elsewhere, so I stopped. So, a year later, what are my thoughts on Sonic Frontiers? Sonic Frontiers is, and always has been, a 7 out of 10, if not a 6 out of 10. It's a good game, but its flaws are very apparent, and it is very messy. It's a smorgasbord of ideas thrown at a wall, seeing what sticks, and potentially a blueprint for where the series is going in the next 10 years. But what I'm fearful of is what has scared me since the release of Sonic Lost World. I will always be scarred by what was the idea of the future of Sonic the Hedgehog in 2011. After the release of Sonic Generations, I really felt like the series had a trajectory that could not be pulled down. We finally got a game that was perfect. Sure, the classic Sonic segments weren't really what I came back for, but they played so well, it didn't feel like wasted development time or a shoehorned gimmick. It felt like a natural and cohesive playstyle of this celebration of the franchise. So why, 2 years later, did we get a Sonic game trying to be Mario Galaxy with a completely new and never returned to gameplay style that was then followed up by a beat-em-up style, Saturday morning cartoon flanderization of the franchise, and then was replaced by the return of the boost formula, bringing back classic Sonic for no additive reason and a customizable character that felt so bare bones and unenjoyable, it made me question what was even the point if it wasn't going to be fun. Why take the series down so many routes when you had something that worked and you could have just fine-tuned it to make another perfect game? Why keep reinventing the wheel just to make it a cube? And here we are, again, reinventing the wheel. But this time, something was different. There was confidence. There was a vision. A blurry vision, but a vision. Sonic Frontiers is a mess, but it feels good. The game has heart. The characters are rewritten and the franchise is validated and respected. I mean, that within its own works. But as much as sometimes it feels like pandering, the little callbacks here and there feel really nice, knowing that they're not just trying to rewrite history and forget that some of the low points of the franchise exist. Frontiers feels more like a celebration of the franchise than something like Sonic Forces did for the 25th anniversary. It's not a perfect game by any means, and it's going to be hard for me to want to go back just for some extra story content that I could probably get by watching cutscenes or seeing the gameplay online. I just don't care enough to play through the DLC for it, and I can happily live with that choice. I still enjoy and respect Sonic Frontiers for what it is, a blueprint for what's to come. And a good game. Also, the boss battles are dope and the music is incredible. Yes, especially the cyberspace music. And the music in the DLC too, oh my god. Fishing is silly fun. There's a fantastic feel for speed. There's so much accessibility for tweaking movement options and unwanted game features. Mike Pollock's voice delivery in the memos is unbelievable. Tails Mech is back. Soap Shoes. Chaos Kin. Speed. I am Speed. So, if only we knew where the franchise was headed next. Sonic Superstars is a continuation / spiritual successor to Sonic Mania. That one good Sonic game I was talking about earlier? Yeah, we're finally getting an encore, not you. You start off with this beautiful animation, which I know has been readily available on YouTube for quite some time now, but man, opening up on stuff like that really gives the game more weight. Please, can we re-normalize animated cutscene openers for games? This is the type of shit that Frontiers needed, and that's on Chaos. Eggman's at it again with the help of classic villain Knack the Weasel, or Fang the Sniper, or Fang the Hunter? Yeah, apparently he's a jerboa, the more you know. Eggman, Fang, and a new autistic pothead chick are up to no good, and Sonic and friends need to stop. Whatever, let's just cut to the chase. The game is good. Fuck it. I'd say the game is sometimes great. Sonic's new Super Mario Bros. Wiimote. 4 players can simultaneously play together locally, which is super dope. However, in the modern day, it is genuinely mind-blowing that for once, Nintendo is going to be ahead of the competition when it comes to online play, as unfortunately, there's no online play for the story mode, but rather this battle mode that... Man, ain't nobody want to play this shit. Levels are large and worth exploring as there are little medals to collect that let you purchase cosmetics in the shop for your battle bot. Unfortunately, I am not in a state where I want people over at the moment, at least for playing Danno content, so I played through the game solo. But I quickly took note that the levels don't feel like they're bogged down by focusing on multiplayer. If anything, it makes it more impressive that levels are so fun to traverse and explore through. Sometimes. The truth is, in terms of gameplay, I feel like the wind-up animation and feel for all the characters feels too slow. And I'm not talking about having some sort of boost or spin dash plus. I just mean without spin dashing, starting up a walk, the wind-up animation feels really slow. Even people in chat took notice when I was streaming it live. Still, momentum is present, and that's fucking beautiful. This means that you can pull off radical feeling jumps with proper timing that can then lead to other interesting potential, as each of your 4 player characters, the main 4, Sonic, Tails, Amy, and Knuckles, have an extra ability with another press of the jump button. Drop dash for Sonic, flight for Tails, glide for Knuckles, and a double jump for Amy. Honestly, I would argue that all of these feel perfect except for one, Knuckles the Echidna. Why they gotta do my man's dirty like this? It is very disappointing to see how Knuckles has fallen from grace since the Adventure era. Gliding, similar to Sonic Frontiers, feels slow to turn, and new to Superstars, feels and is slower. You gain high momentum, roll, jump off a ramp at the right time, but then let's say you start gliding. You cut off any momentum you built up, and Knuckles is brought to a default glide speed. It also feels chunky and slow as hell if you let go of the glide, as you're stuck in this immovable freefall state until he lands on the ground, and there are just way too many empty frames before he can act again. It just needs to be a lot snappier. Otherwise, though, every character feels pretty damn good. The stages, while graphically aren't anything to speak of, they are vibrant and diverse, and I think art style goes a long way in this aspect. With gimmicks that are inoffensive and music that will have you humming the melodies, it's safe to say the vibes are immaculate. Though, it should be said that the music sometimes is a little incohesive. Of course, while you have your collectible tokens for your battle bots, you also have gold star rings to enter in each zone, similar to Sonic 3 and Knuckles, as well as Mania. These new special stages are very simple yet quite fun, and I never thought that we would see the Sonic Spider-Man crossover quite like this. They start off really simple and easy, and a part of me had this false sense of confidence that thought it would remain that easy, but I learned very early on I was wrong, and the special stages got way more intense with unique level design gimmicks pretty quick. It felt really good to master a level after I would keep losing on it, and I felt like I had tricked the Emerald into getting caught. On top of that, you also have special stages for passing through a checkpoint pole. They're puzzle-like and more reminiscent of Sonic 1's special stages, but easier on the eyes, and a lot more fun to play through and beat, especially in comparison to Sonic 4. Before the week was done, I finally got a chance to play through with Amy, who is completely broken, but very fun with her double jump and ability to hammer through enemies and obstacles. I can definitely say bosses got juked by Amy and her moveset. Lastly, I played Tails on the factory level, that, I'll be honest, is probably my favorite factory Eggman level yet, other than Flying Battery if you want to consider it that sort of industrial theming. I appreciate Tails' flight, as you don't lose momentum like you do with Knuckles' gliding ability. It's definitely a tie between Amy and Tails for my favorite character. I do hope that someday they implement a way that any character can use a drop dash. I just found that every time I would make a jump, I just wish I could fall down and barrel through opponents. I understand that it's Sonic's new ability, but I feel like they all deserve it, and it could easily be mapped to a different button, seeing as all the buttons basically do is jump. I should also mention that there is another aspect to the game, and that is these new Chaos Emeralds abilities. I find them situational, some broken, like the Meteor ability, and some very specific, or the game flat out tells you that you need to use them at a specific time. And to me, I think they could have been utilized a bit better, maybe less of them. I know there's always going to be 7 Chaos Emeralds, so you have to fill out all those slots, but I don't think this gimmick was utilized enough for me to want to replay levels and try out every ability. It was one of those things where I remembered, oh yeah, there's a weapon wheel, and then I used it. And with that, I ended my week with Sonic Superstars right at Golden City, or whatever the fuck. The levels are unique and colorful, but I do sometimes wish that the camera could have been zoomed out a little bit, just to give you a greater sense of scope and ability to react to obstacles that are coming at you at bullet speed. And once again, bullet speed is a bit of an exaggeration. I find the speed to be a bit lacking, but with the momentum that's there, I'm not complaining. At the end of this loop-de-loop we call the Sonic game release cycle, I find myself asking the question, when will Sonic wow me again? I don't think Sonic Superstars is a bad game by any means. I actually think I might even like it more than Frontiers. But I do think it was kinda safe, all things considered. Seeing Nat come back, playable Amy, a unique new use of the Chaos Emeralds, and beautiful animations in a new Sonic game, I smile and I enjoy myself. But something in this game just didn't sit right with me. Maybe it's just bad timing, but in a lot of other long-running franchises, I'm seeing new life be brought to these dated series. And I feel like Sonic Superstars was supposed to be that, but just didn't go far enough to make this game feel like it has identity. This is a Sonic Mania-like, and I say that as the game almost aims to feel like the classic games, but still, It's a Sonic Mania-like game that plays a lot slower, and in my playtime was a lot more buggy. When I originally beat Zone 4 Act 1, I went to the store as I got a pop-up saying that something had unlocked, but I didn't buy anything. Backed out to go back to the level hub, and it spawned me at the final zone of the game. Aside from this technically being a spoiler, I was more stunned when I tried to head back to Zone 4 and beat Act 2, and this happened. Yeah, the Sonic game is buggy. What else is new? Look, I feel like 2D Sonic, at least those that mimic the original trilogy, gotta feel fluid and polished. And as per usual with Sonic games, I didn't get that here. I don't think this game is a 10 out of 10 game. The boss battles are a bit lacking as well, and I feel like they go on for way too long. The music is not cohesive at all, ranging from T-Lope's bangers to Sonic 4, good god, stay dead! But I think this game is fun at the very least. B tier, maybe even C tier. Inoffensive, but the gimmicks in multiplayer with zero online functionality and battle mode does not fucking count. No one wants to play that game, dude. No one, like, maybe even C tier? I don't know. It's inoffensive, but the gimmicks in multiplayer with zero online functionality. Battle mode doesn't fucking count. No one wants to play that. We can be playing Fortnite, alright? Yeah, they aren't enough of a hook. I'm not really disappointed like I was with Frontier's DLC though, and Frontier's final product as a whole. I was just more underwhelmed by Sonic Superstars' really bare bones feel. I hope that the next 2D installment brings back more modern Sonic sensibilities. Just polished up. I don't think we need to delegate classic Sonic as a 2D only character, nor should modern Sonic just be 3D with these 2D segments. But I guess that's more of a discussion for another video. I just like a Rush or Advanced Series remake or re-release. As if that'll ever happen. Better luck next time, Sonic. I'm still hanging on to you by a thread, buddy. Even though I felt like this game needed to be wonderful, it just didn't do it for me. It's a damn shame too, because next week's Danno episode immediately fills that need. It's time we talk about my most anticipated game of the year, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. See you guys next week. What the fuck? Well, the cycle continues, I guess. I'll see you guys next time. Once again, another Patreon shout out to Bummel Plays and Y Guy Dev. Thank you guys for the support, and I'll see you guys next time. I swear the next video won't take as long, I'm sorry.